always like to do something different style of video, different everybody. I don't want to put myself in. Man, I've been listening to this Diddy trial and what's been going on in this Diddy trial, and whew, um, I've it's what, day three? Today's day three. Um, juries have been selected, and apparently there was a line trying with a lot of people trying to get in to the into the courthouse, the courtroom from the very first day, and then the witnesses, they done the opening, the government done their opening, the defense done their opening, and then witnesses started getting called. But one of the witnesses that they mostly talked about was Daniel Phillips. He was an escort, and he was one of them guys. From always it sound like he was, getting, falling for Cassie and stuff like that. Daniel, he was saying stuff like, um, you know, like the first set times that he got called in, he thought that was gonna do an escort, and Cassie was the one that opened the door and let him in, and she was dressed up, and um, you know, somebody came in and had on a mask and hat, and he could have heard the person's voice, and that sounded like it was Diddy and stuff like that, and he got paid to have sex with Cassie, and you know Diddy watched and pleased himself. So it got kind of bit graphic, and they were saying that his daughters walked out during you know Daniel Phillips' testimony, um, just for a little bit, and then they came back after some of it was gone. He was saying that he would get paid some anywhere from 700 to sometimes 3,000, sometimes $5,000, and they would meet up in hotels and Cassie's house and Diddy's place and stuff like that. So he was like one of their regulars. Um, Daniel Phillips was, and then it came to the witness that everyone wanted to hear. Everybody wanted to hear Cassie's testimony and what she had to say, because remember, she's been there like from the beginning of all of this stuff. We don't know about anybody else that he was doing this when he was with. So Cassie, as you guys know, that she's near enough to the end of her trimester, her pregnancy, 8.5 months. She walked into the courtroom. They said she walked in, she didn't look at Diddy, didn't look at nobody else, just went up, put her hands up, and you know, um, took her oath and stuff like that. And then they started to ask her question, and she got down into details, saying that, you know, she she first, because she was signed to Bad Boy and stuff like that, and when she and Diddy started, it was all kosher and stuff like that. She said that he kissed her in a bathroom, but at the time he was with somebody, and they kind of were doing their little thing, and then she said like 6 months into the relationship, in when she got into relationship with Puffy, she well, 6 months after, that's when she got introduced to the freak off, and she did it just to make him happy, because she didn't want him to get angry and stuff like that. um you know she said the very first time it happened, she was 21 years old, and she got introduced to oral sex and all of them stuff when she was 21 years old, through Diddy. And then it was 6 months after that, that's when the freak off start. Um, and that's when she got introduced to the drugs and all of them stuff. Um, she was getting down into details and saying that around them times he started to get like possessive, really possessive of her. Like he would call her, and if she don't answer, he would constantly call her. his staff would track her down, or people would call her and stuff like that. It's a lot of graphics to get through, and I don't know how she kept us, a straight face being in that courtroom. They said one of the times she got a bit teary and stuff like that. Um, you know, she would have to get prep for the free calls, get her nails did, done them in a specific type of way, and preferably white and stuff like that. And it gets really graphic where she was saying that more while she would be exhausted from free cough, because he would say when the free coughs would be finished, and sometimes she'd end up having 2, 3 sessions, 4 sessions, and she said most of the time she would be taking drugs just to get through the free coughs and stuff like that. And trust me, it's I don't even know how Diddy can keep a straight face. It's disgusting, some of the stuff them that was said. Um and then the staff, they would clean up after any damages would get done, people would get paid off. um it's whew. Like during the free cough, Diddy would be there pleasing himself, and talking them through that. How that is so disgusting, having someone, you know paying someone to have sex with your woman. And then, like Daniel, he was saying that he couldn't get a hard on most time with Diddy in the room and stuff like that. I don't see much guys that would, you know, could get one and get an erection with somebody else in the room doing whatever to themselves. That is crazy. She went through and she was saying that her last free cough was in 2017, and you know more often than not, she wanted to say no, but because she knew that Diddy would get angry. She said one time she said no to him, and he got so angry that his eyes would go black. That his eyes went black, and they had letter names like when they were sending messages like baby girl and pop pop, which she found that was really disrespectful, because that's the name that she used to call either her father or her grandfather. And then, like in the beginning, like if there wasn't somebody that they were comfortable with, like an escort, they would put on mask and they would dress up. She would wear wigs and different stuff like that. Until they found it, because they're wondering if it was a undercover and stuff like that. And most of these freak off, she was explaining that it took place in nearly all of Diddy's house barring one, and in her house, and a lot of hotels room. And she even went as graphic as, him and the escort would pee on her. Sometimes so she didn't want to get pee on, but she didn't want to make him angry and stuff like that. And even one point she was choking on pee, and oh my gosh, it's disgusting. Where even when she was on a menstrual cycle, she would be expected to do the free cough, and there was a lot of astro glides and baby oil being used. um and they played a bit, they asked her about that video that all of us have seen, and that she played a bit. They played a bit of the video for her, and like, as far as she could recall, that was a freak off that she wanted, that she was just coming from. They just finished a freak off, and she literally ran out of the hotel room where he chased her. He was really upset, and they asked her why did she stay on the ground, and basically she was saying that that was the safest place for her. He had her phone and he had her night bag, and she wanted it and stuff like that. So she called somebody, and that's where that first witness came up. I think he was a office security guard or somebody at the hotel, where from that video that we seen. And he was saying that most they could only rewind the video to a certain bit. And after the day after, when he went back, the day after the incident happened, the video was nowhere to be found. Did he try to pay him money to, you know, don't let none of it leak out, and it's not looking good. None of this is looking good for Diddy at the moment. It's not looking good at all. And some of these stuff, and it's only some. Cassie had it was what, 6 hours for the government to question her, and I think they're probably in court. Let's see what time now. She's probably in court right now, being questioned by the defense, and we're going to be hearing more from that later on, because as we know, no videos, no recordings are not allowed into the courtroom, so people are just going off notes, and we're just getting what people are putting out, lawyers and other people who get access to the courtroom. I wish if I was there, if I was in New York at this moment in time, I would have been at that court. I was trying to get in as well, so I could bring some story for you guys. And it that is from some of the stuff them that happened. You hear Cassie talk about, um, you know, if a lot P Diddy is lawyers, they'll say that she's lying or this or that or she consented to it, and you look on it and you say, even if someone consented to that, would you want somebody to do that to your kids? You've got girls, and you wouldn't want somebody to be doing that to your daughters. So don't do it to somebody else's daughter. That is disgusting. And there's a lot of people. I'm wondering what a lot of these people who've been defending P Diddy and stuff like that. Wonder what they got to say from hearing some of these testimony. And this trial is probably gonna go for about 2 months on a weekly basis. So the government probably got a lot more evidence and a lot more witnesses that are gonna be coming forth. And like we said, Cassie's like one of the star witness, and this is one of the person that they're trying to hear. So she done 6 hours, up to 6 hours worth of questioning yesterday, and they're back in court today for the cross examination. And trust me, there was more graphic stuff that he's done to her or done to himself. And you know there's a lot of stuff that, like I said, people just have to be using their imagination from what other people have been writing in their notes. And I'm telling you, that is disgusting, from even the little stuff that I've heard. And like we said, the cross examiners did his defense. They're gonna be, making it look out like Cassie, um, volunteered to do all of these stuff, and wanted them stuff, and she liked all of them stuff being done to her. But like I said, it don't matter how freaky you want to do. Don't do that to other people's kids if you don't want it to be done to yours, because some of these stuff are way too graphic, and to even think about, to talk about, and I find it really disgusting. And you know, the members of his staff and the members of his team, they are disgusting as well. A lot of them are disgusting for what they did, all the cover up and stuff like that. And it just goes to show what people will do for money. Some of these stuff that these people are doing for money. It just goes to show how disgusting people will get for the love of money. And P didn't knew that. He knew that he could have used his money and bribed a lot of people and get away with whatever he wanted and do what he wanted. And he did what he did. And he got away with it for a long, long time. There's a girl, someone called Mia, someone that used to work for P Diddy. Apparently, she's gonna be on the stand as well. She said that he used to come into her room and force himself on her and little stuff like that. Put his hands up her dress and little stuff like that. Some crazy stuff. He's moving like some mafia king who feel like he can do whatever he wants to young women. And you know Daniel Phillips, he said that at one point he thought that he probably would have been could be killed at any time because his driver's license was taken, and they got photos of him and stuff like that, and he was scared for his life a lot of the times, he said. And at one point he could saw, I think Cassie wasn't doing what P Diddy wanted her to do, and he said he heard him take her to a back room and he could hear things like slapping noises, and he said that he could tell that Cassie was shaking up, that he didn't even want to continue with the session that they were doing. So there's so much stuff to cover in these cases. I'm only giving you some of the highlights that what I've heard from people that has been in the courtroom and stuff like that. So there'll be a lot more stuff on the internet, and I'm just one of the guys who's just here to just put it out there for you guys, for those who haven't heard anything about it, to hear what's going on and hear how disgusting this man was, and how the stuff that he was been doing to this young lady and other young women. Um, basically destroying people's life. And, you know, we don't hear people crucifying him like how they crucified R. Kelly, um, as much as they should be doing it. And, a lot of people are just sitting and waiting to see and hear which other celebrity name is going to get called and who else is going to get called up on the free calls and who else is going to get arrested and stuff like that. So, guys, I've come to the end of my video. You know, I'm gonna be covering this as soon as I hear anything. I'm gonna be bringing it, putting it on here. We're gonna be talking about it. I'm gonna give my point, gonna give my views. Thank you guys for tuning in.